Okay, everybody. Hey, this is going to be a little bit of a rough little video here about the recruiting appointment and specifically how this thing, in my view anyway, and in my experience, needs to flow and go when you are meeting with a recruit. And the first thing and most important thing is preparation for the appointment itself. So here is all of the selections for your PowerPoint. Now here's the thing, and you need to remember this. You can't pick this up and start using it unless you're well versed in what you're going to do. Now remember, every one of these slides are specifically for talking points. They're to make you smarter, to make you come across in your recruit interview much more intelligent because you know the material and you're prepared for how to present it. Makes sense? Okay, that's the most important thing that you're going to do prior to even using this thing. So I know a lot of you are really comfortable in using the old paper type of presentation for a recruit appointment. That's because you understand it and you've used it and it flows for you because you know what's going on with it, right? Okay, the PowerPoint is going to be useless to you unless, one, you understand what each one of the slides are for, talking points only, so that you can have a conversation with somebody about that particular part of the value of Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate, Kansas City Homes. You have to go through a process of practicing how to use it. It's like with anything. You know, we're at baseball season here. I don't think anybody's going to go up to the plate and go 4 for 4 if they don't ever practice in the batting cage. We see that a lot with pitchers, right? Especially American League pitchers, by the way. Okay, so that's the most important thing. Understand and know the tool that you have there. The second thing is have the appointment with energy. Your energy level is going to have everything to do with how that recruit appointment is going to flow. So keep that in mind. I mean, if they're coming into your office, you're like, hey, thanks for coming in, have a seat, blah, blah, blah. No, you can't do that because their attention and level and their energy level is going to actually come right off of what you do. And it shouldn't need to sound like this. Man, thanks for coming in. I know you're busy. And I know you have a lot going on. Your business is really good. So thank you for taking the time to come in and meet with me. Hey, let's sit down and is it okay if I just ask you some questions so I can get to know you a little bit better? Of course, they're going to say yes. Now, this is the important part of the preliminary conversation before you get to the presentation. And that is having a relationship with them that is good enough in a very short window of time that causes them to pay attention to what it is that you're saying. So if you don't have the relationship built, you may only have 15 minutes to do this. And if you haven't built that relationship as good as you can or as well as you can, then you don't have a chance no matter how well you know the material that you're going to use for the presentation. So it should begin something like this. Again, I'm just giving you a suggestion. So have high energy. Make it exciting that they're in your office. Be excited that you have the opportunity to sit down with them, right? Okay, then it's like, hey, thanks for coming in. Really excited that you came in today. And I'd like to ask you a couple questions about yourself, if that's okay. Sure, and they're going to say, okay. So how long have you been in real estate? That's one. They're going to tell you. By the way, you're only asking questions because if you're asking questions, then you know what you're going to ask next because their response is what's going to do that. This is the 101 of recruiting. So how long have you been in real estate? Great. Well, how's it been for you over the tenure of your business? Fantastic. Wow, great. Well, I know that this past year for you has been really good. So you mind if I ask a little bit about you and your family? Are you from Kansas City? Blah, blah, blah. And they're going to tell you all about that. They tell me about your family. Listen, when you ask somebody about their family, I'm telling you that's rocket launch right there. Because for me, I can tell you, speaking from experience, when somebody asks me about my family, it changes my posture. It causes me to be more interested, and the reason being is because I always like to talk about and brag about my family. Take them through that process and then get to know them. Let them feel real comfortable with who you are in the presentation, because you want to lay the pavement for the opportunity to be in business with them, to have them join your company. So don't blow it at that end. Okay, now we're going to start talking about their business. And that sounds something like this. Hey, let me ask you something. You've been at your current brokerage for, 3 years now, and I'd like to ask you, understanding what it's been like for you there, which what is it that if you had it in your business, or if it was provided for you for your business by your brokerage, if you had that, or if you were able to experience that, would change everything for you? What might that be that you don't currently have at your disposal, but you wish you did? What would that look like? Okay, make that sound any way you want to make it sound. Ask that question any way you want to ask it. You can ask it 100 different ways. Hey, tell me one thing that you'd love to see in your business at your disposal that would really help you take your business to the next level. You don't currently have it. What would that be? Now, their answer to you is going to tell you what you're going to zero in on next, right? Because remember, this appointment's about them. It's kind of about Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate, but not until you've identified what's the most important thing to that agent in the meeting, the reason they came, the discovery process that's going to help you to help them understand the value that you can deliver for them and get you one step closer to having the chance to be in business with them. So they're going to tell you whatever that is. So you're going to talk about that. Remember, you're the broker. You're the one that's doing the recruiting. You're the one that is delivering the information. So you have to be prepared, and you have to know your product really, really well, so that you're never stumped by a response that the recruit makes. Again, this PowerPoint covers absolutely everything value-wise that we have at Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate Kansas City, other than culture. Other than culture. You can't sell culture in your recruiting meeting. Talk about it a little bit if you want to, but until they've experienced it, you're not going to be able to zero in on that as a great emphasis. Now, they may say, I'm just looking for a better culture. I'm just looking for a place where, I'm around people that are helpful and blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. Okay, well, then you can talk about those things in your office and how you do it, and that can make a little bit of a difference. But remember, zeroing in on what's most important to them and to their business. By the way, also through the questions that you're asking them, you're going to determine whether or not they're a candidate for joining your office. You're listening intently, you're watching body language, all of the above, and you just may not be getting the mojo, okay? So all of this stuff is going to lead to an end one way or the other. Either you're not going to want them to be a part of your office, or the point where you're hoping that you've delivered the message about the value in such a way that they're going to say, man, I really think that this is the place for me. That's what you're looking to get to. So I want to get to a couple of slides here, and I want to give you a little bit of an indication of how to communicate using the slide presentation. And again, it's not a lot different than what you've used in the past with the paper material, folder stuff, etc. So let's start with this one. Okay, this is the Be Better slide that says at the bottom, named Real Estate Agency Brand of the Year. Now, I'm not going to tell you why that's important, right? Now, to me, it's important, right? And I'm not going to tell you how to explain the importance, but for me, it's important in that, one, I believe it's a big deal. Okay, if you don't believe it's a big deal, don't use the slide. Don't use the slide. Don't use a slide that you don't believe in, that you can't use as a talking point. So for instance, I would do something like this. Hey, we've been named the real estate agency brand of the year in the country, and I'm going to elaborate on how that happened and the company that did that came up with that information. And I'm going to say, you know, we think it's really, really important that the real estate agent be backed by a strong branding. And so we're really, really proud of the fact that in this country, we have been identified as #1. And again, we think that for an agent like you, that's going to be important to opening some doors for you simply because of brand recognition. Does that make sense? And they're going to say, yeah, I think that makes sense. Okay, great. Okay, then I'm going to go to the next one, right? You know, just to give you a little bit of a better idea of what that brand awareness could mean, I have a 97% brand awareness in the country. What that means is basically is that 97% of consumers know the brand Better Homes and Gardens. Now, not necessarily through real estate, but obviously through the magazines. You've heard of Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate, or excuse me, Better Homes and Gardens magazine, right? And they're going to say, yeah. So when you meet somebody new or you hand them their card, they look at Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate, and they don't have to wonder who you are with. They don't have to wonder about the company. They don't say, company who? Or they don't say, wow, I've never seen that, or I don't know. Brand recognition is a real important part of helping you in building the relationship with people. And we simply are proud of the fact that 97% of the people in the country are going to be aware of the company that you are with as soon as you're introduced to them. Make sense? And they're going to say, yes, again, you can do this, brokers, any way that you want to do it. Okay, this is the Realogy big company slide. I don't know if I'm going to use it or not. I've used it. It's going to depend on the candidate that I'm sitting with. So, and it's going to depend maybe on some information that I've gotten from them through the preliminary part of my conversation, building the level of excitement and building the level of interest because I've built relationship with them in that first 15 or so minutes of my conversation with them. If it's there, I'm going to, and I don't feel like it's important, that I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, and I'm going to move on. Do that. Don't get hung up and look like a goober because you come to a slide that isn't really going to be an important part of the presentation for you. Also, take those slides out before you get to the appointment itself. Okay. Let's go to Paige. Okay. You, in your preliminary conversation with somebody, and somebody's going to talk to you and say, well, I really like the culture. Great. This is a fantastic place to emphasize all of the attributes of Paige, the P-A-I-G-E, and go through every one of them and understand how you're going to present that. Remember, I can't emphasize enough that we're talking about these slides are for talking points. Talking points because you're all really, really smart and you can come up with how to discuss those things with somebody, and you don't need me or the corporate office or anybody else explaining to you how you are most comfortable in delivering that message and conversation with them. Make sense? Great. Okay. So you're going to go through the Paige slides, and those are these here on the left. Okay, this is a real important one because there's companies out there, and this is the quality versus quantity slide. Now, that's important stuff because there are real estate agents out there. One joined our office yesterday and said, I'm just getting lost in the shuffle at my current office. They have 400 and some odd agents there, and they came in and said, I'm just getting lost. I need something more. By the way, when I talked to that agent casually here in the office, I asked the question, what are you looking for in your business? And that's when they told me. Remember, questions are going to bring you discovery. By the way, it makes for a great conversation when you know what's most important to the candidate. Excuse me. Okay. All right. This is important stuff. number 2 in real estate in Kansas City. And then